Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's meetup. On today's agenda, we'll be discussing what's coming in our UC 2019 release. So as a reminder, we'll be recording and then posting this meetup to meetup.com, and then that's also going to YouTube. During the meetup, if you would like to submit a question for our team to answer, please use the Q&A button and a panel at the bottom of your screen there, and we can answer those as we go. We'll have a couple spots for Q&As during the meetup, so as things come along, you can submit questions and we'll answer them kind of throughout the meetup in a couple spots. So with that said, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Scott to get us started.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and thanks everyone for joining us today. We wanted to take a few minutes today to give you a sneak peek of the work we've been doing and will be shipping in our June 2019 release, and then also talk a little bit about the activities at the UC for those of you that may be coming to San Diego in the coming weeks. Before we do that, though, I just wanted to stop and say thank you to everyone. We've seen some incredible examples of users who have taken the solutions we've developed, deployed them in their organizations. We've got experiences working with many of you on new solution offerings over the last several months. And ultimately, it's the feedback that you're all collectively providing, which is helping us grow the offerings for everyone in the ArcGIS community. So thanks a lot for all of your contributions and thanks for your continued support. Today we're going to talk about what's new in the June 2019 release and give you a sneak peek of the work we'll be shipping later this month. We're going to focus on some new solution offerings that support strategic initiatives like recreation license outreach and crime analysis, which is getting a whole series of new enhancements that Walt's going to talk about today. But at the same time, we've also been working on enhancements to several other solution templates. Emergency management operations continues to evolve. The feedback we've been getting as users across the country have unfortunately been having to exercise these solution templates during flood response activities and other natural disasters this spring has driven a lot of the work that you'll see in the June release. Earlier this year, there was a homeless census in many communities across the country, and the feedback that some of you gave us impacted and drove some enhancements on the point-in-time counts and the homeless activity reporter. And the team's been working on some of our more popular public works solutions like road closures, plans and drawings, and road maintenance agreements. And we want to share with you some exciting new configurations there. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit today about the 3D base maps. And this is actually one of our more popular solution templates. It really helps government organizations take the 2D content that they manage in their organization and build a 3D base map for their community and begin to lay a foundation for 3D analytical workflows that you may want to perform in your community. And so we've been evolving that solution template with feedback from the community and direct engagement in projects across the globe. The other thing you're going to hear us talk about today and going forward actually is that we're starting to think a lot more about what we can do to help enable you as users of our solution templates and how do we make it easier for you to take advantage of the technology that we're developing and shipping with ArcGIS. And so we're going to show you today several new enablement materials that will just give you a kind of an overview of the work we're doing to really round out that technology and give you a set of tools that you can use in your organization to socialize the solution templates and the value they bring to your organization, learn how to use them, and ultimately how to configure and extend them around common patterns. And so this whole kind of enablement pattern that we'll just give you an introduction to today is really going to become part of the products that we're developing. So with that quick summary, what I want to do now is turn it over to Chris and let him start with the recreation license outreach solution template that we'll be shipping in June. Chris, why don't you take it from here?
Great, thanks, Scott. So just to start, I wanted to talk a little bit about our new recreation outreach solution. And just to give you a little bit of background, it's really around R3. And R3 is a mission to retain, reactivate, and recruit outdoor enthusiasts. And this mission is supported by recreation locators that we recently updated. But R3 coordinators have been asking us to do a little bit more with licensed data. So in June, we'll be releasing a new solution called Recreation License Outreach. And this solution allows R3 coordinators to analyze data and target specific areas for license reactivation, retention, and recruitment. And this solution includes an ArcGIS Pro project used to harvest license data from licensed systems and a focused dashboard to support your R3 mission. So to get started, I actually want to start with the end result of the solution, which is the dashboard. So this is the Recreation License Reporting Dashboard, which is included with the Recreation License Outreach Solution. And it allows you to simply go in and look at year-to-year changes for license data. So I can, on the left-hand side of the screen, change the year that I'm looking at. In this case, I'm looking at 2017 license information. And again, this data was harvested from a licensed system, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a bit. I could even go down and say, I don't want to look at the entire state's worth of license information. I could actually dig into specific county level data. So what you're going to see is the dashboard actually filter that information down. And I can actually look at individual towns even within a specific county. So you're seeing Allegheny County here. You're on the right-hand side, you're seeing the total number of license holders. So in this county, we have 121 hunting licenses, license holders, fishing, trapping, and combo licenses. And one of the things that R3 coordinators are really interested in, of those licenses, which ones are actually lapsed and we can target. So in this case, there's 81 hunting licenses that have lapsed, 84 fishing licenses, 53 trapping, and 60 combo licenses. If I want to dig into individual towns even, I could do that with the third tab, which shows me all of those towns or cities within that county and breaks down all that same license information now at the local level. So I can see the total number of license holders, how many have been renewed, how many I need to target for reactivation, and then the total numbers broken down by the different license types. And at the bottom, I could even show a gender breakdown of who's actually buying those licenses. It actually gets even more interesting when you look at the bottom of the dashboard, which shows you where, what time during the year most licenses have been purchased. So in this case, we have very few licenses being purchased in December, but then there's a peak in July, August, and September in the summer months. So those are most likely maybe fishing licenses, families getting out during the summertime. So it's showing you some of that trend data there. And on the next tab, we're actually showing it broken down by the birth year of the actual license holder. So in this example, you can see there's a peak, around between 1965 and 70, but there's some lulls within that range as well. So you can kind of target certain age groups even for license reactivation, or even recruiting new folks to go out and hunt, fish, enjoy the outdoors. So that's the end output, or the end solution that you get with the recreation license outreach solution. But I want to show a little bit about how you actually get to this dashboard. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to show you what that ArcGIS Pro project that's included with the solution looks like. And when you get the solution, when it's deployed, you can take a look at the Getting Started guide, which just simply talks about what are the required input layers for the license dashboard. So in this case, we're asking for a primary geography, which in my example was the county level data, secondary geography information, which could be the town or city data, and then license data harvested from your license system. And just keep in mind that the required input for the license data are points. So if you have license data coming out of a license system and all you have is the address, you're going to have to go in and geocode those into points. So that's also something just to note before you kind of look into the tools. So points are required. If I go back, I want to show you just a couple of the other tools that we include with the tasks for the license outreach solution. One of those is actually just organizing your content. So if I open up that tool that's included, what it's going to ask me for is the service that's provided with the solution. So we offer a series of feature layers that are included that all you have to do is load content into. The license type field in your license data that contains the different types of licenses that you may have in that license system. And then the period to calculate. For instance, if I want to look at 2017 information, I can do that. What's really nice about these tools is they actually append additional years into your layer. So then you can look at year-to-year changes in the dashboard, which is pretty good. But here's the crux of the work here. What I can do is I can actually, from all of my different license types, in Maine, we were working with some Maine data, and they had, over 50 different types of licenses. It could be a one-day hunting license. It could be a one-day senior hunting license. It could even be a hunting license that was given to a newborn as a gift, right? So there's all kinds of different types of licenses that you can input in. What this really does is boils it down into the main categories that we need in the dashboard. So hunting, fishing, trapping, combo licenses. We can take all of the fishing license types and then match those up to a single category called fishing. And I can go ahead and do that for all of my different license types. It may take a bit of time doing that at first, but you can always reuse these inputs for the next run. And then go ahead and run the tool. So what it's going to do in the background is take all of those point-based license locations or license holder locations, and then aggregate them into those primary and secondary geographies like I mentioned. So that's just a sneak peek at some of the tools that we're including with the solution to kind of help you organize your license content or license data, and that can be used in any application, right? I just showed you one example that we include, which is the dashboard. But that can also be a data product that you can share with other folks within the organization so they can kind of analyze and take a look at the license data with a geographic context, right? So that's the idea there. And that's it for recreation license outreach. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Walt, and he's gonna talk about some of the crime analysis updates.
Thanks, Chris. Let me share my screen here. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to share a little bit with some changes, as Scott mentioned earlier, about what's coming in crime analysis. Those of you who've been following us for a while may remember that last summer, we released the first version of crime analysis. As it says here on the screen, it includes an add-in to ArcGIS Pro that can be used by crime analysts to conduct a series of key functions, such as those that you see on your screen there. We've made an update to crime analysis this year that's going to be coming out here in a few weeks, and I just want to go over that, show you what's going to come, what you'll be seeing here. Crime analysis, as I mentioned, includes the add-in to ArcGIS Pro, but it also includes a configuration of Pro with some sample data in it and lots of maps in here so that you can see how the tools can be used. What you see on your screen here now is a series of different tools that get added to the interface. You can see a few of them up here once you've installed that add-in, but it also allows you to get access to these tools through context menus like this one here. We have a set of tools that come through this enhanced attributes. But primarily it's been organized into a new tab called the Crime Analysis tab. And again, it's organized around those major functions such as data management, selection, and so on. And you can see under each one of these groups that there are tools, as such you can see again as the enhanced attributes, which just allow you to take action on your data, manage your data. In this case, we have several tools to convert time fields from text or numeric into a date time field and extract it out into different parts like time of day, day of week, append things from attributes like precinct that the crime occurred in, and so on. We also have some tools to allow you to set up import records out of a CSV file. If you don't have direct access to your a records management system, you can import it from an X and Y table or from an address table. These tools allow you to set up a configuration file that specifies all those parameters, and once you have created that configuration file, then you can use that to import those records on a repeated basis. We also have instructions on the solution site to show you how you can schedule that in the Windows Task Scheduler so that it'll import those records from your CSV or out of your records management system every day or every week or however often you schedule it. Under the selection set, you can see a combination of out-of-the-box tools and some custom tools, like this one here, for example, on the select date and time, that allows you to parse out your date field. So if I have an offense date in here, I can select it now. I want to slice it up by the date, and I want to select out by the time of day. So I can come in here and specify how I want to do this. Maybe it's a specific date range that I'm interested in. I could start off, let's say, June 1st until today, maybe. And then I can also select out the time of day that I'm interested in. So I can say I want the burglaries that occurred only after midnight, before 6 a.m. or something like that. So there's some ways that you can select out the type of incidents or crimes that you're interested in. Once you've done that, then you can take some action on different types of analysis. We have them grouped together in here, so it makes it easy for you to find them. If you are a crime analyst, you find yourself doing these things on a repeated basis every day. One of them might be a 80-20 analysis, for example. And again, here's a map that shows you the results of some 80/20 analysis on the sample data that we've mocked up here. And you can see there is a disproportionate number of occurrences of these calls for service at certain locations. And so if I just click on one of them here, you can see there are 20 of them at this one location. So it allows the patrol to focus their efforts on a small number of those locations to reduce the number of calls for service that are coming in. There's a number of other types of analysis you can do: incident count, percent change, density analysis, and so on. But what I really want to focus on is what you're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks when the new release comes out. And you can see here we've added a few of them, the repeat and near repeat analysis tools. Now, these currently are in a separate solution template that's an ArcMap focused solution. And we moved those tools into the add-in here so that you can use them all part of the crime analysis add-in. The first one on the list there is the export near repeat to calculator to a table. So what it allows you to do is take any type of incidents, calls for service, crimes, etc., and export them out to a CSV file that then you can import into the near repeat calculator. What that does for you is it allows you to be able to understand what are the time and space parameters that you want to use when you go in to create the near repeat classification. And what this allows you to do is to say, okay, if I have a set of features such as these calls for service here, and I want to put them into, I can specify what kind of call date and what space and time band. So I might put in here like 500 feet, 1,000 feet perhaps, 1,500 feet, and so on. And in the sample data, that's what you'll see we've done. We've specified the 500 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, and so on. And we've calculated the classification of all that data, and I'll just show you what that looks like. In here is the results of that analysis, in this case on burglaries that we selected out. And you can see on the screen here, they've classified them by the originator, the repeat, or the near repeat crime according to those space and time parameters that we specified. So in this case here, I have an original and originator crime, and we have a near repeat. And you would also see that it's doing is it's adding another layer to the map called the connections, using the same space-time parameters, and it displays that as a line. And it's using the graduated symbols to display that line by the strength of the pattern. So in this case here, you can see we have a strong pattern relationship between these near repeat crimes, in this case less than or equal to 3 days, and so on over here. So it gives us that understanding of what classification we have in our repeat patterns. Another one you can do that we've added to the list is create prediction zones. And these are basically risk zones that use past data to be able to determine what the risk could be in the future. Excuse me a second. The good thing about doing one of these web meetings is you guys can't get my cold, but it is hard to talk. Excuse me. Another one I wanted to show is cell phone analysis. We've done quite a few things with cell phone analysis. So you'll see a new set of tools here that get added. These two tools came from the existing ArcMap solution template, importing cell sites and cell phone records. And you can see down here in the list, I have a CDR table, or call detail record, or data record, excuse me. And this record, this table, basically has a list of the calls that went out, what the subscriber phone number was, what the destination phone number is, and what switch and site and also antenna sector that they connected to at that point in time. This data then can be acquired by a law enforcement agency through a subpoena, typically, from a service provider. You can also get the site information, and I'll just show you what an example of that looks like here. And basically all it is the location of the tower and the antenna with some information about that antenna. Excuse me. So that allows you to get the input information, and you can map it. So basically what we're doing is we're just associating these call data records to the sites. Another set of tools you can do in here is set out patterns. In this case, we're using a tool that allows us to create repeat call patterns. We want to know how many times did caller A call caller B at this location from each of these sites. What it's doing then is it's not only mapping it, but it's creating a connector line to show us the number of connections to it. It also creates a couple of other detailed records, like you can see where we have the call details from each particular site, that is the tower, or from the sector. So we can see how many times they call from each one of those. So we get basically a pattern of life over the particular callers that we're looking for here, the particular suspects. Another one that we've added to the list this year is the phone sequence. Basically, this is using a combination of tools. Not only have we imported the records, the call data records and the sites, but we've also used the sequencing tool to be able to understand at what point in which sequence did this caller reach out. So you can see here the pattern of movement for the particular caller. You can see where he called to, what time of day he called to, and we can see it here in 3D. So if I just move around the map a little bit, you can see then how that shows where they were at when they called in those particular times. So it gives you an idea of that pattern over space and time together. So there are some tools in here that you'll be able to see when it comes out in a couple of weeks. We've also added a few things to the create and share information group. One of them in particular, I'll just pick out here if I can pick on a particular one, is the calendar heat chart. People have asked for that, and so that's been added, as well as the data clock and so on. So ways that you can share that information with your colleagues. You can, of course, also share those to as a web layer inside of a dashboard, like one Chris just showed, only with crimes, and some other applications that we've already developed that are on our solution site. So you should be able to see those, all these changes. Documentation on it will be updated. You'll see that when the new release comes out. So that's kind of a high-level overview of what's coming in the crime analysis solution. I'm going to stop presenting and stop talking and rest my voice a little bit and give it back to Scott.
Thanks, Walt. Let me share my screen. So I want to summarize for you some of the work we've been doing to modernize our public works solution offering, and in particular, some of the focused applications we have to help public works organizations manage road closure, plans and drawings, and even road maintenance agreements. So I'm going to start with road closures. This is one of our more popular solution offerings, and it's a configuration of Web App Builder for ArcGIS that's really designed to manage road closures that occur in your community that could be as a result of seasonal construction you're doing, special events, or even emergency incidents. And the first thing I want to call your attention to is we've really done a lot of work to kind of simplify the user experience and the map. And it may be a little hard to see through the screen share here, but we're presenting in the map not only current road closures, which you see in kind of darker colors here, right, in a new enhanced pop-up that gives you the relevant information for that closure, but also inactive closures or closures that may have occurred in the past. And so it's a very, very simple way for you to start to see where those closures occurred currently, or even have happened in the past. And the reason why that's important is that many of you may be dealing, especially when you talk about special events in your community, with reoccurring closures. And so the ability to quickly select maybe last year's closures and update that closure information is really quite important and quite relevant to this work. The other thing I'll mention, which you really can't see through the application interface here, is that we've been working closely with Waze, Google, and other consumer mapping platforms on a new format for road closures that works across all of those consumer mapping systems. And if you're familiar with our road closure solution and previous versions of it, you know that we really simplified the closure layers to make it easier for you to join Waze's Connected Citizens program and ultimately share your closure information with the consumer mapping environment. And so with those changes to the schema, you'll find that we've updated the road closure layers to reflect that new format. And what's nice about that new format is that not only is Waze using it, but Google's also adopting that and other consumer mapping platforms. And so you're able to actually syndicate your content into many of those platforms, not just Waze now. The other thing I'll point out is we've actually enhanced the editing experience for folks that need to manage these closures. And you can envision that a single road closures application could be deployed in your organization for all closures, whether that's events, construction, or emergency incidents. Or you could have focused implementations of this app too, maybe delegated to public works, to your events team, and maybe even your emergency management organization or your law enforcement or public safety organization as well too. So this application is really designed to simplify the data management process, and we've really done a lot of work to take advantage of enhancements in the Smart Editor widgets, And so you'll see a much simpler editing environment. So I can just quickly populate some key attributes here, and I won't spend a whole lot of time populating the details, but I can just put in a few examples here. And I can just start plopping features on the map, and those preset values will all be populated for me. The other thing you'll notice that once I get all of those features in, and maybe perhaps I've added all of the closures for a very specific project, I can use the batch attribute editor to come in, select all of the closures maybe for a specific incident or event, and then update those characteristics as well too. So maybe they're behind schedule on this construction project, and I want to quickly update the date information on the start and end times for those closures. Finally, the new road closure solution also allows me to really focus in on those key closures, or maybe I just want to look at, if I zoom out here and only look at active closures and active detours, I can just simplify the mapping experience and really just focus in on those closures I see currently in my community. So this is really a modernization of one of our more popular public works solutions, and it's really designed to simplify that editing experience, to take advantage of the latest kind of web-based editing tools we have, and ultimately ensure that you can continue to either participate in the Connected Citizens program and syndicate this information to other consumer mapping platforms, or maybe take advantage of it in a future project in your organization and begin to share that information with those mapping platforms. So that's road closures. The next one I'll transition to here is plans and drawings. Plans and drawings is a configuration it's actually two configurations of Web App Builder for ArcGIS. It's really designed for public works and maybe utility organizations that want to manage a geographic card catalog or a geographic index of their record drawings. This could be construction plans, it could be design drawings, and other information that's relevant to engineering staff throughout your organization, or even field staff who want to access that information in the field. So plans and drawings has two key components. It has a simple mapping application that can be used by someone in your surveying organization or in your public works department, let's say within the mapping and surveying group, that is responsible for kind of cataloging and indexing all of your record drawings. You can see here what we've done is much like, actually let me turn off the editing for a minute. You can see what we've done is really simplified. Let's go ahead and poke at this one here. Simplified the pop-up on these plans. We've made it really easy to interact with the information, and once again, tried to present the relevant information in a very straightforward and simple way. Much like road closures, we've incorporated a lot of the capabilities within Smart Editor to simplify the editing experience, whether I need to update an existing plan, or perhaps I want to come in, and let's not save those edits, but let's go in and just simply come in and create maybe the geographic extent of a new project in my community. Perhaps we've got some new drawings for some sewer or water work we're doing in this, and it just presents a very simple and straightforward way for me to populate that plan information. And what you'll notice with plans and drawings is there's a couple different ways you can reference the source documents. Keep in mind, this solution is not designed to be a document management system. What it's really designed to do is extend those document management systems or your document management approach and provide a geographic extent or a geographic lens on those drawings. And I'll talk about why that's important in a minute. And so if you have a records management system, you can just enter in the path to those record drawings right here. In some cases, those drawings may not be automated, and they're in the file cabinet on the 3rd floor in the Public Works Department, right? And it just provides a simple way for people to access that information and ultimately understand who the document owner and key contact is if you have more information. In some cases, you could attach the drawing to that. If you don't have, maybe you want to catalog other information that's relevant to projects, you can do that as well too. But as I said, our primary focus is really helping you integrate with those other systems. Much like the road closure solution, you'll see a common pattern here. There's a simple way for me to kind of interact with the content in the map. And maybe I'm interested in looking at record drawings we have for road projects in the community and just focusing on those. or only maybe looking at projects, with a start and end date that were during a certain period of time. And so it really allows me to quickly kind of filter the content within my organization and begin to look at more specific information. So Plan Index is really focused on the folks inside your public works organization who need to catalog all those drawings and make them available to the rest of the organization. And that's really where the Plan Catalog application comes in. And what you'll notice is that while this application looks very similar in terms of its theme and look and feel, it doesn't have an editing experience. And it's really designed for your field workers who maybe have a smartphone or a tablet device out in the field and want to either search for a project by name or maybe use their current location to discover all the record drawings that happen to be available on that intersection and get key information for that. When they click on a project or identify a project they're interested in, they'll see detailed information about those plans, and they'll have a quick and simple way to access the record drawings right there from the field or within the office. So that's plans and drawings. It's really two configurations of Web App Builder for ArcGIS that are focused around that kind of management of record drawings and providing access to the rest of the organization. The last one I'd like to show you is road maintenance agreements. And this kind of works in concert with some of your customer service and operations and maintenance activities within your organization. So some public works organizations actually enter into contract either via ordinance or other kind of civil decision that allows the public works department to perform maintenance either on behalf of other public organizations. So perhaps the county road commission is providing maintenance on behalf of cities, or a city is providing maintenance activities on behalf of a private landholder. And ultimately what road maintenance agreements allows you to track those decisions and those agreements you're entering into with either those private landholders or other public entities. Typically we see these agreements are either adopted by ordinance or resolution, but ultimately this allows you to provide a geographic context for those maintenance agreements. So when someone calls customer service or you have to plan operations and maintenance activities, you can see specifically what your maintenance responsibilities are. Much like road closures and the Plan Index application, it provides a simple editing experience that allows you to come in and just identify the extent of that agreement and populate some key characteristics for that agreement. The other thing it allows you to do is quickly begin to look at agreements by type. So I can look at, perhaps I'm interested in all of the agreements that I've entered into for water distribution and whether or not they are active or inactive agreements based on the dates that are found in those ordinances or resolution. So the information maintained in this application could just be provided to your customer service organizations in a simple web map, or you could also make it available in other applications that are used to prioritize operations and maintenance activities as well too. So that was just a quick overview of several of the applications that we've updated for Public Works. And let's stop now, Matt, and maybe just take some questions on the demonstrations that we've showed so far. Actually, before we do that, let me do one thing, Matt. Sorry, let me do one thing. Last thing I want to cover before we take questions is the updates we've been making to the 3D base maps. I mentioned this earlier. This is actually one of our more popular data management solutions that we have available on ArcGIS Pro, and it's an ArcGIS Pro project. The 3D base maps solution template is an ArcGIS Pro project that helps government agencies generate 3D features, buildings, trees, floors, and elevations. And it's been around for several years, and we've been evolving it as the LiDAR and 3D tools have improved in ArcGIS Pro. Earlier this year, we released an update to the 3D base maps that really helped optimize the building classification and building extraction. And in this animated video here, you can see some of the benefits you're getting. You're getting much more detailed representations of those structures, and it's really harvesting all the rich LiDAR data that you have and using that to generate those 3D shapes. One of the other things we've been working on, and you'll see in the June update, is actually a maintenance workflow that allows you to look at new LiDAR data. So perhaps you've got a new LiDAR flight for your downtown area or just your community as a whole, and you want to go in and detect where there's been change, building change, either new construction that resulted in new buildings, or maybe you had demolitions that knocked down or changes the landscape as well too. And so these tools will actually go in and help you identify where those changes occurred, populate the new features, obviously as necessary, remove buildings that are no longer there, and ultimately update your 3D scene for your community. And so it really helps make that kind of maintenance of your 3D community much simpler and much more straightforward. So that's just a quick overview. Sorry about that, Matt. That's just a quick overview of some of the enhancements we made for 3D base maps. And let's now stop maybe and take some questions if there are any.
All right. Yeah, so I'll just cover. One was answered through the Q&A panel, but let's go. Is the crime analyst tools available for ArcGIS Pro only? And Walt answered that yes, that's just an add-in we have for ArcGIS Pro. Just for the recording. Here we go. We've got quite a few coming in here. So Brian asked, how does the plan index and the catalog apps handle a site that's been developed multiple times?
That's a good question. Yep. So the plans and drawing solution assumes that each drawing is a unique polygon. So in other words, I could have, let's see, what's the typical construction drawings that are submitted for a new development. I'd identify the extent of those construction drawings, right? I'd type the features accordingly and populate the attributes, and I'd associate a link, let's say, to those construction drawings. And then I have final as-built maybe submitted as part of a construction project. And I could also then identify the extent of those as-built drawings. They'd be stacked polygons. When the worker in the field or the engineer discovers that location, they could then flip through and access all of the drawings available for that geographic extent.
All right, and kind of thinking in the same line of apps, does the plans and drawings integrate into Laserfiche?
So you can integrate it into any document management system that allows you essentially to address the drawings through a URL or perhaps even a network path. That gets a little more complicated, obviously, depending on your network architecture. But if you can expose a URL parameter to those drawings, either one or more documents, you can absolutely integrate it between any system, any document management system.
Excellent. And then kind of around the road closures app, a couple questions. So if you're already a member of the Waze Connected Citizens program, is there a way or any additional steps to migrate to the updated road closure solution?
So I'm not sure what, we can follow up and figure out what Waze's kind of future approach is going to be for existing members, whether or not they're going to continue to allow you to submit in that format they've kind of moved to mature support. We can also put together a blog post that kind of talks about how you can just migrate existing closure data to the new layers. So you could essentially deploy the new road closure solution. You could take your existing closure data, move it into the new format, and then ultimately, if you want, update your Connected Citizens contributions. So let us take that on as an act. That's a good question, Matt. Let us take that on as an action item, and we'll try to put together some guidance for that.
Okay. And then just a comment that I think we answered already, but the road closure solution uses a standardized schema to the Waze Connected Citizens program data. But the answer is yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. There's a couple around the crime analysis tool. So is there any plan to make crime analysis be able to be utilized within ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise?
Yeah, I'll handle that one. The results of your analysis can be published so that you can consume it into an online application. This crime analysis is designed specifically for certified crime analysts that typically use desktop software, but the results of the analysis can be shared. We do have a couple of examples on our solution site, the daily activity dashboard. There's the neighborhood reports and the crime maps that you can go to and see how you could share some of that data. And it could also be put in what we call a ComStat report, for those of you that know what that is. And there's a learn lesson actually out there that you can utilize to learn how to use that. And again, that would be shared through a story map or something like that. But again, that's the results of the analysis.
But Walt, the crime analysis can also source information that may be stored in Enterprise or online too, right? So I don't necessarily have to have it in a geodatabase to use those analytical tools, right? They work against feature layers just like feature classes, right?
Yep, that's right.
And then another question for the crime analysis solution. So is there an ability or a way within the crime analysis solution to utilize some of the tools automatically by using Python? So is there some Python integration there?
Yeah, so the tools are built in Python. And there also is an additional help topic. If you go to the solution site for crime analysis under tools topic, there's an additional help that talks about how to add toolboxes in Python. So you can take a look at that if you want to.
All right, so there's a question, any automated ID assigning tool in ArcGIS Pro on Horizon? So since Attribute Assistant is not working in ArcGIS Pro.
So a couple things there. One is attribute rules are obviously continuing to evolve within ArcGIS. And right now there's quite a bit of capabilities available in Enterprise that you can use for things like generating unique IDs. That's absolutely possible now with attribute rules in ArcGIS Enterprise. They are also bringing those capabilities to file geodatabase in a future release. Some of those capabilities are coming in the next release of Pro, and then they'll follow. But there's nothing really right now in an automated way with hosted layers in ArcGIS Online. But we do have some tools that are available as part of our crowdsourcing solutions where you can do that kind of in a batch mode. So in other words, I can have a Python script listening for updates in a feature and running on a scheduled task and then generating IDs. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. If the question's getting at, are we going to build an attribute assistant for ArcGIS Pro? We don't have any plans to do that. We're working with the core dev team to continue to enhance attribute rules and take advantage of those core capabilities.
Okay. And then just another follow-up question to that, but it's what's the status of attribute rules calculating values based on other feature layers? But I guess that kind of, you just answered that with that.
Yeah.
Fast. Yep. Okay.
Correct, Matt. Yep.
And then there was a question, can a user add road closure information from a mobile device?
Oh, so that's a good question. There's nothing precluding you from taking those layers that we provide in the road closure solution and making them available in a field-based application like Collector for ArcGIS. So if that is a workflow that you would like to promote, you certainly could do that. And I could absolutely see that being viable for things like just roadblocks, where you may want to identify, or allow law enforcement staff who actually man those blocks or identify them during an incident or fire even to add the roadblocks. So yeah, that's absolutely a viable way to extend the solution.
All right, so that's all the questions we had for now.
Okay. So one of the things we mentioned earlier in the presentation is that we're really trying to think more about the materials you may need to implement the solutions in your organization and go beyond just the technology we've providing historically. So we've been working on a standard, what we call enablement pattern, or kind of set of documents that we are developing going forward with our solution offerings. And the first thing and I think many of you, if you've looked at some of our more recent solution offerings that we've released, like our election solutions that we shipped in March, or even dam safety, you'll see that not only do they include the ArcGIS configurations, but they also include a story map that's called Getting to Know that specific solution. And what that story map or maybe blog post describes is the unique capabilities and the business value, or kind of how they add value to your organization. And for us, that's just kind of one piece of a larger set of enablement materials we want to provide with each of our solutions going forward. So you'll see now those Getting to Know story maps. You'll see maybe a story map or learn lesson, or maybe even a blog post, depending on the complexity of the solution, that describes how you can use each of these solution templates. So think of it as a simple how-to guide that you could then share with your end users that teaches them how to use one of the specific solutions or configurations of ArcGIS. And then finally, a more advanced learn lesson or maybe guide or blog post that describes how you might be able to configure or extend the capabilities in the solution templates around kind of common patterns. So perhaps you deployed our Citizen Problem Reporter solution and you wanted to add your own problem category or problem type to that application or that solution. all of these are being made available in learn.arcgis.com. And so what I wanted to just kind of mention to you is that you're going to continue to see a growing set of enablement materials showing up in Learn. And if you haven't been to Learn, essentially what Learn does is take kind of what we would call traditional help documentation that we have for our products and pivot it around these kind of key workflows or real world problems. And if you go into the lesson gallery, you'll see that you can actually begin to discover all of the Learn lessons that we're developing for our solutions. Walt mentioned earlier with the crime analysis, the ability to produce a CompStat meeting. So there's actually a Learn lesson there to help you do that. Chris and team worked on a new solution for dam safety. So there's a getting to know story map that walks you through, what is the dam safety solution and how does it add value to my organization. So not only will you be able to discover these new enablement documents or new enablement materials in the Learn gallery, but we're also going to be shipping them with the solutions themselves. And so when you deploy the solutions going forward, you'll get much of this content delivered with the solutions themselves. So we're not only building these enablement materials for new solutions, we're also going back for many of our popular solutions across the different domains and developing the materials as well too, in an effort to just make it easier for you to take advantage of these solutions in your organization. Because many of you may have been focused in one area or another and not aware of some of the solutions we have for perhaps public engagement like this one. So I just wanted to call your attention to that and then just make you aware of the fact that you're going to continue to see a growing set of enablement materials that really, as I said, hopefully make it easier for you to take advantage of the technology that we've been showing you and ultimately make it easier for your organization to learn how to leverage the solution templates in your community. So the last thing I just want to end with is just what's going on at the UC this year. We have a great deal and a great number of events that are happening around the solutions themselves. We have 13 different tech workshops, 7 different demo theaters, and we have a dedicated area essentially right near the information booth in the expo area where you can come and you get real focused help from the team. So I'll post this link after the meetup, but you can actually go out to the agenda. Let's go ahead and just change real quick here. Let me bring that back up. But if you go to the agenda, and I'll send you guys, I'll post it on the meetup site, an actual link that'll take you directly to the sessions that we have. You'll see we have some overviews of the different solutions that are available. We have some deep dives into very specific solutions themselves. And this is not just for government, but it's also the public safety solutions we have, the water utility solutions. All of those are included in one track, and you can really use this to kind of discover the sessions that might be relevant for you and connect with the teams while you're at the user conference this year. So there's, like I said, a nearly 20 different, more than 20 actually, activities that you could participate in and use those events to give us feedback or come directly to the island while you're there. So that's a quick overview of the activities and events at the user conference. The last thing we really wanted to leave you with is we are thinking a lot about after the user conference, after we all enjoy a little bit of the summer, what are we working on next and what's coming down the pipe from our team. We share this information with you because we really are interested. If any of you are interested or want to work with us on these development projects or maybe help guide the development of these solution offerings. So the second half of this year and maybe even early 2020, you will see us working on new solution offerings around parcel data management as an example. How can you take advantage of some of the new capabilities that are coming in ArcGIS Pro? We have a whole team of people working on extending our existing special event solutions and providing a set of configurations around special event planning and operations. How do I ensure safety and security during those events and monitor activities that are happening? We're actively working on flood planning and flood mitigation and how do I visualize the extent of flooding in my community and feed it into my emergency management operations system so I can then take appropriate response activities during a flooding event in my community. And use 3D representations of flooding to really help communicate to the public the extent and the damage that could be occurring if we were to reach certain flood levels. We're also working on some things that really enhance our performance management solution and provide a social equity lens around the work we've been doing in performance management. We're also starting a new set of solutions for transit agencies. So if you're interested in working on transit solutions with us and have some ideas on how ArcGIS can add value to transit operations, transit planning, public engagement, and even increasing ridership, certainly we'd be interested in hearing from you. And then other areas like asset condition inventory. So how do we extend the work we've done focused on really inventorying your assets and maybe providing a simple way to capture condition of those assets and visualize condition of those assets in your community. And Chris mentioned earlier today, R3 is a big initiative in many state fish and wildlife and natural resource organizations, and really continuing to invest in the collection of solutions we have that help those agencies maximize revenue from licensing to ensure that they're reaching the audiences they try to reach, is an area that we're focused on. So we'll continue to work on these new strategic areas. You'll see a whole host of new ArcGIS configurations coming from it. At the same time, you will also see us integrating those solutions into our ArcGIS Hub product to really enhance the public engagement capabilities that are available for those solutions. And so we have a whole host of hub initiatives we're actively working on. We showed you earlier in May the new election solutions. We've got actually a hub initiative designed around transparent elections that's nearly complete and will be available later this summer. And we're going to continue to invest in that and really leverage the capabilities that are in ArcGIS Hub so you can extend the solutions in your organization. Today we showed you several enhancements to existing solutions. That's a continuous part of our process. Not only do we develop new capabilities, we also continue to evolve the existing solutions. So you'll see enhancements coming that really reduce ArcMap's dependency. We've got a working prototype of the new address data management solution in Pro. We're going to continue to enhance that. And we'll just take advantage of new capabilities as they come in ArcGIS. And we've talked already a lot about the enablement materials, but that's going to be a big part of our focus the second half of this year. So we do have plans, and we really are interested in engaging with you. If you're interested in working with us on these new solution offerings or even enhancements to existing solutions, so don't hesitate to reach out to us if you are. And I'll just close before we take some questions with, is we really do value your feedback on these meetups. We encourage you to kind of fill out the survey. This is something new that we started earlier in the spring. And we're using the feedback you provide us from the meetups to really drive future content. So if you don't mind, do take the time to give us some feedback on the meetup today. Let us know, what you liked and didn't like about the meetup, and if you need additional information on what we showed, and we'd be glad to follow up with you. So with that, Matt, I think we're wrapped up with the content we have, and we certainly have time to take questions if there are any.
Yeah, so there was a question about the citizen problem reporter that section you just had up there. Can you show that? She's looking for the learn content.
Oh, sure. She wants a sneak peek of that, huh?
She said she can't find it and need it desperately, so that maybe if it's not posted yet.
It isn't posted yet, but if that individual sends me an email, I'd be glad to share it with them. Okay. We're really close. We're going to push it up in the Learn Gallery maybe next week or the week after, but I'd be glad to share it with you before that. So if you would like a copy of it.
Melissa, if you can post maybe even just our meetups, that question, and we can respond back to you with the link. So someone asked if there's time, can you briefly describe the Maximizing Capital Investments Hub initiative? What
Sure.
that entails? Yeah.
Yeah, so the Maximizing Capital Investments Hub initiative really highlights the solutions we have to help with capital project planning and regular operations and maintenance. So think of paving plans that you develop for your community and things like that. And so it really allows you to describe the infrastructure your organization is responsible for, the capital, present your capital improvement plan and your capital projects, in an immersive way. It leverages the solutions we have for capital project planning and integrates them in the site, and also extends them to take advantage of hub community identities. So members can be, follow events that may be occurring. Perhaps there's project meetings happening in the neighborhoods, or communities have implemented a participatory budgeting initiative and they'd like to get feedback on potential project ideas in the future. And so, as I mentioned, it's all just designed around kind of socializing your capital investments in a new way, engaging the public in that, and showing both what I would call those long-range capital projects and also the more short-term O&M projects you do, like paving plans and things like that.
All right, so just one more. So Greg, just more of a comment. He said he would like to be involved with the parcel data management and transit solutions. So
okay,
maybe we can talk about how they can get involved with that.
Yeah, maybe just post something, Greg, on the meetup site, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the summer. We don't have another meetup planned. So if you do have ideas for meetups and you'd like to do that, I mean, obviously we'll probably take a few months off during the summer here because I know everyone will be enjoying their summer, and then kick back up in September. And so if you have ideas for new meetup topics, certainly feel free to share those with us, and hopefully we'll see many of you at the user conference in a few weeks.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.